right, Shalom Lakam. All right. I serve Yahweh, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of Israel, the God of the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, who sent his son, Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, who the world called Jesus Christ, as a sacrifice and an atonement for the sins of the children of Israel, who is a so-called black man. Children of Israel are those people of so-called Afro, Latino, and indigenous descent in North, Central, South America, and the Caribbean, as well as scattered throughout different parts of the four corners of the earth. The next new moon is going to be on December 6th at sunset to December 7th at sunset. The next holy day is going to be Passover, which is going to be April 18th to 19th is the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread Passover. And April 24th to the 25th is the last day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, also called the Passover. If any of those days falls within the Sabbath, that Sabbath is a day that we can cook on, as well as every day of the feast we're supposed to be cooking and having feast, whatnot. The next holiday celebration that's coming up is going to be Hanukkah. That's going to start on the 30th, so-called Friday night. All right. Now, that Friday night, we cannot cook because it's not a Sabbath or a holy day established by the Most High Power, Yahweh. It's a Sabbath or it's a holy day that's established by us to commemorate when Yahweh delivered our temple back into our hand, and we were able to get the victory over the Greeks that had taken the temple out of our hands. All right. So we're gonna begin. All right, that's about it in terms of announcements. Did I forget anything? All right, so we're gonna start in this is the Torah, third day Aliyah of Parashah of Vayeishev, which is Vayeishev, from Genesis chapter 36, verse 23 through 36. And this is dealing with the silent slave auction. La subasta silencio de esclavos, and the shadow of wisdom. Okay, sombra de sabiduría. All right. So we're going to start from Genesis chapter 36, and we're going to read from verse 23 to 36, and kind of pick up with our brother ancestor, actually, Joseph. Okay. So where we're going to pick up from is that his brothers have put him into a pit, and Reuben said, let's put him into a pit. And they listened to Reuben, and Reuben wanted to come back and get him, a little later on. So Reuben kind of, started getting kind of hot around the collar as they eating because, we'll see why. All right. So let's start from Genesis chapter 37. My reader is Amaria Nanai Shaman Ban Parazah. And we're going to start from Genesis chapter 36, chapter 37. We're going to pick up from verse 23. And it goes a little something like this. Hit it.
And so it was, when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped Joseph of his tunic, the fine woolen tunic that was on him.
So they wanted to remove the symbol of Joseph's power and Joseph's authority over them. All right. They had tunic envy. They wanted to cut off his tunic because they were envious of the position. And that was the symbol of his position. Okay, go ahead.
Then they took him and
that's one of the reasons, let me say, that the Europeans, the Africans, the Arabs, all right, they'll tell us that we're everybody else except for the children of Israel. Read.
Then they took him and cast him into the pit. The pit was empty, no water was in it.
So he got thrown into an empty pit with no water. So now he's being brought to a low place. Go ahead.
They sat to eat food. they raised their eyes and they saw, behold, a caravan of Ishmaelites.
Now, Ishmaelites are the so-called Arabs today. That's the main family of Ishmael, or the people in the Arab nations that have a lot of money. All right, that's going into Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Oman, and the United Arab Emirates, Dubai, Bahrain, those countries around that area, parts of Kuwait also. So those are mainly the Arab nations. Then they spread into North Africa, okay, from Egypt, Libya. They went into Morocco, went into Algeria, a little bit of Jordan, okay, a little bit of Syria, all right. So the Israelite nations are kind of in that pocket right there. All right, go ahead.
A caravan of Ishmaelites was coming from Gilead.
All right, so now when we look at the caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead, what do we have? Galaad. Okay, we have a camel, all right, which is represent travel, journeys. And we have the Lamad, which represents the shepherds, all right, control to defend and to fight. And then we have the eye, which is to see, and then we have the head, all right. So this kind of, once again, when we look at a lot of these words and a lot of the Hebrew, we see a lot of foreshadows, all right, into what's happening in the story. Go ahead.
Their camels bearing spices, balsam, and lotus, on their way to bring them down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers.
Now we know, once again, spices were something that were used a lot, all right, in cooking and also in the death of a person. You'll put the spices on their bodies, spices and different kind of herbs on their bodies to, just help the body, and then to help the body decompose, and then to give it, a better smell as it was decomposing, and then wrapped up inside of linen. Right, go ahead.
Judah said to his brothers.
So now this is Judah. Now Judah is the father of the so-called Black America. Judá es el padre de los afroamericanos que llegaron acá en esclavitud. Judá está hablando ahora. Go ahead.
What gain will there be if we kill our brother?
So Judah said, we can't gain if we kill him. No podemos ganar si lo matamos. Y por eso Judá fue he was one of the most famous periods of slavery in America in history. Even though other nations were in slavery, Judah's captivity is the most famous. Y por eso Judá dice que no podemos ganar. Y por eso él está uno de los esclavos o la esclavitud más como famosa en toda la historia. En toda la historia, los negros que llegaron, los morenos que llegaron en esclavitud a Norteamérica. Aunque eran otra gente en esclavitud en las Américas, esa esclavitud en América, los Estados Unidos de América, es una de las cautividades más famosas en la historia. Okay, go ahead.
And cover up his blood. Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites.
So Judah said, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites. Okay. Judah said, dejamos venderlo a los árabes, los ismaelitas. ¿Quiénes son los árabes hoy en día? Okay. He said, let's sell them to the Ishmaelites. And we know that the Ishmaelites had a big part in the slavery from East Africa and West Africa. Que los árabes tuvieron un parte grande en la esclavitud de la este de África y del oeste de África. Okay, cautivaron y como persiguieron y vendieron los esclavos en el continente, en África y fuera de África al este. Pero en el oeste, no más como vendieron como en la tierra. A los blancos vendieron los esclavos para llevar los esclavos como el océano, por el Atlántico, a Brasil, Colombia, Venezuela, Norteamérica, y Caribe. So the Arabs were on the east coast of Africa and the west coast of Africa, but on the east coast, they was only selling the slaves and carrying them over the sea. to Iraq, Iran, Saudi Arabia, to India. Now, on the west coast of Africa, they only sold the slaves. They didn't take them over the waters. All right. So on that east coast, they took them They took them on the east side of Africa. So now the Israelites are taking Joseph into captivity, into slavery. Go ahead.
But let our hand not be upon him.
So Judah says, let's work with the Arabs. And that's the same thing that happened in West Africa. The Israelites were working with the Arabs to sell their own people, along with the Africans. Y se pasó el mismo en la esclavitud de Atlántico, como trato transatlántico de esclavos. Aunque los árabes como trabajaban con la tribu de Judá. Okay. Y después que vendieron su propia gente y también con los africanos. Y después que vendieron los israelitas su propia gente a los árabes y africanos, ¿qué pasó después al fin de todo? Se vendieron la misma gente que vendían a su propia gente, se vendían a ellos también a esclavitud a las Américas. Es cierto, ¿verdad? Y sabemos que también la profecía dice que el ciudadano y también los líderes, los reyes van a estar como vendidos a esclavitud también. Y así cumplimos la profecía en Norteamérica. Okay. Y también en Brasil, Colombia, Venezuela, Puerto Rico, en Cuba. So we fulfilled the prophecies like that. Cuba, Brazil, Puerto Rico, America. They would sell the people. And then once the slavery got to the end, the same Israelites that were helping to sell their own people, the Africans, the Arabs, and Edomites would all get together to now gather those people that are the leaders and the heads and then sell them in captivity. Go ahead.
For he is our brother, our own flesh. His brothers agreed.
So that's why, the two that were like, hey, let's not kill him, with Judah and Reuben. And that's why during slavery, the tribe of Judah, the Black Americans, were able to run into Florida, into Reuben's territory, all right, and get refuge down there, just because of those two events. You understand? Y por eso, la tribu de Judá, los afroamericanos corrieron de esclavitud a Florida, entre los Miccosukee, los indígenas en Florida, los Miccosukee, quienes son descendientes de la tribu de Reuben. Y de allá se vivieron como juntos allá. ¿Y qué? Porque ellos no querían vender, ellos no querían matar. ¿Ok? Rubén quería parar como la venta de su hermano, pero Judá no quería parar la venta, él nomás quería parar como matar, matando a su propio hermano. So Reuben wanted to stop the sale and the slavery. Judah didn't want to stop the slavery. Judah wanted to stop the murder. All right. Judah wanted to stop the murder, which is the father of the so-called Black Americans, the tribe of Judah. Read.
Midianite man. Traitor.
Midianite man is another family of Abraham. So this is all Hebrew on Hebrew crime right here. It's another family of Abraham from Midian, which I believe Midian was born from Keturah, Abraham's wife that he took after Shaddai had passed away. Go ahead.
Traders passed by. They drew Joseph up and lifted him out of the pit.
So they took Joseph from the pit that he had been put into. Go ahead.
And sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites.
Then they sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites. Go ahead.
For 20 pieces of silver.
Go ahead.
Then they brought Joseph to Egypt.
Now Joseph got taken into Egypt. Go ahead. By the Ishmaelites. Go ahead.
Reuben returned to the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit.
So now if Judah can convince them not to murder him, but to sell him, surely Reuben could have said, okay, let's not even sell him. But Reuben now goes back, and what? Joseph is gone from the pit now. Okay. Go ahead.
So he rent his garments.
So now Reuben is super mad now, because he left his brother there to die. All right. He didn't know what was going to happen. He didn't protect his brother. He's a big brother. He's supposed to protect his brother. And Joseph is the little brother, the next to the last brother. And there's 12 of them. And here Reuben is the big old one, and he ain't helping nobody. He trying to say, okay, y'all don't hurt him. All right? Acting like a straight punk. You supposed to get down for your crown when it comes to somebody trying to do wickedness to your people, man. But Reuben is standing against the blood. He's saying, okay, I do what y'all gonna do. Because he has some type of slick plan, but he didn't want to approach his brothers on this. Now Reuben went back, tried to take him up out the pit. All right, because he delayed in executing justice. All right, go ahead.
Returning to his brothers, he said, the boy is gone.
He said, the boy is gone. Our brother is gone. Go ahead.
And where can I go?
He said, now, like, it's my fault. Where can I go? It's my fault. I can't get away from this guilt, from this terrible act that I've condoned, that I've done. Read.
They took Joseph's tunic, slaughtered a goatling.
So now here's the conspiracy. Okay, go ahead.
And dipped the tunic in the blood.
So now they got a bloody clothes, and they said, we're going to put the clothes in the blood. Go ahead.
They dispatched the fine woolen tunic.
And then they sent somebody to their father. Okay? Go ahead.
And they brought it to their father and said, we have found this. Identify, if you please. Is it your son's tunic or not? He recognized it, and he said, my son's tunic. A savage beast devoured him. Joseph has surely been torn to bits.
So now, imagine somebody come back to you. Imagine you got a child, somebody comes back to you with your child's clothes ripped and bloody. Just imagine that. And this is what they just did to their father. Imagine how much anguish and sadness and pain he's feeling right now, man. Just say, you know what? Your favorite son, the son of your favorite wife, he's dead. Right?
Then Jacob rent his garments and placed sackcloth on his loins. He mourned for his sons many days.
Now he mourned for his son many days. So he was sad so long. Right?
All his sons and all his daughters arose to confront him.
Now these daughters could have been his other daughters that he may have had outside of Dinah that the scriptures don't talk about, or they could have been the daughters-in-law of some of his sons. Okay, could have been the wives of his sons. Okay, read.
But he refused to comfort himself, and said, "For I will go down to the grave mourning for my son."
So he says, "I'm gonna go down sad about my son to the grave." That's how deep of a depression he sunk into. So the pit that Joseph was in, that's the pit that Jacob's spirit sunk down into while he was mourning for his son. All right, go ahead.
And his father bewailed him. Now the Midianites had sold him to Egypt. Okay, so now we got a different thing. Now we can either look at like the Midianites, which is another name for Midianites. They gave them to the Ishmaelites, and the Ishmaelites took them into Africa. Or we can say the Midianites gave them to the Ishmaelites. Then the Ishmaelites took them. Then the Ishmaelites took them into Egypt. Then the Ishmaelites could have sold them to the Midianites again. All right, so we don't know exactly how that part of the transfer, went down. All right, but it's showing us this though to show us that there might be some confusion, but we also can trace ships, journeys, names, locations where our ancestors may have arrived into Colombia, into Venezuela, into Brazil, into Chile, into Argentina, into Puerto Rico from different places. We can look at that up, but we don't really take the time to do that. Why? We don't do it, and we just know that the scriptures, we fulfill the prophecy. This is already destined to happen. Remember, Yahweh is setting the stage for us to be in Egypt. And once we get in Egypt, Joseph is going to be elevated. Once he gets elevated, he's going to die, and then Israel is going to fall down low. And then we're going to go in captivity. Then Yahweh is going to bring us out of that
slavery because of the Amorites. We have to leave the land of Canaan and then come back as a strong nation and take over the Amorites for the sin and the wickedness that they were doing against the laws of Yahweh. Okay, go ahead.
To Potiphar.
Okay, so Potiphar, Powat, which is Powat Yapar. Go ahead.
A quarter of Pharaoh.
Okay, sorry, what?
A quarter of Pharaoh.
Okay. So, go ahead.
The chamberlain of the butchers.
Mm-hmm. So he was an officer of Pharaoh, and he was a chamberlain, like he was a chief head. The Hebrew is shar of the butcher. Now the word butcher right there is tarak. Tarak is a slayer. Tarak is a slayer. So he was like a head butcher. Well, it says butcher, but tarak is a slayer. It can either be a butcher or an executioner. All right. So he was the head executioner, all right, of Pharaoh. He wasn't the head animal killer of Pharaoh. You know what I'm saying? Here's my head animal killer. All right. That's not really noteworthy. All right. So now Joseph was a good son. And what we have to understand is that Joseph is Joseph is kind of like a shadow of wisdom. It's showing us how to walk in wisdom through Joseph's life. When you look at Joseph's life, you see that it's an example of wisdom and shows us how to walk, because we can look on the outside now and we look on the inside, you know, thousands of years later. All right. And what's unique about our books is that other nations cannot take their books and look at the records and the actions and the behavior and the experiences of their people. We as the children of Israel podemos hacerlo, pero nadie más puede hacerlo. Solamente nosotros. Ellos no tienen sus archivos. Ellos no tienen su historia como verdadera. They have myths. They don't have their true history, their true story. Pero nosotros tenemos la historia, tenemos como la cultura, nosotros tenemos los mandamientos, las leyes de nuestros antepasados, nosotros tenemos los nombres de las familias y nosotros tenemos como una guía para ver quiénes somos y dónde estamos hoy mismo, right? We can show where we are. We have a guide, our history, prophecies, who our fathers are, our experiences, where we are. You see, where do we come from? What are our laws? What's our destiny, right? Nobody else can do that. No hay ninguna otra nación que puede hacer esta con sus propias, como su propia como información pasaron de sus antepasados. Nobody else can do that with their own information that's been passed down from their ancestors. ¿Verdad? Y en la vida, in the story, in the life of Joseph, we can see como una sombra de sabiduría, like a shadow of wisdom. Porque su vida es un ejemplo. His life is an example de qué podemos y qué debemos hacer cuando estamos tratando de caminar en el camino hacia la vida eterna. Joseph's life is an example of what we can do and what we must do when we walking on the road to eternal life. Okay? Y por eso puede traer el libro allá y vamos a ir como a... Tiene otra Biblia que puede usar también, ¿verdad? Esa Biblia allá puede usar. ¿Dónde está la Biblia grande, la Biblia negra? La Biblia negra. Busca a ver si está en el otro. Pues podemos empezar con, se puede usar este también, ¿puedo? Proverbs 4, 3-6. Proverbs chapter 4, 3-6. Now, when you look at wisdom, you can see different things that wisdom is saying that shows you about Joseph's life. All right. Now, Joseph just got sold as a slave, and we call it a silent slave auction because we don't have no details about who he got sold to, except for that first time that he got sold for those 20 pieces of silver. We won't have any record of what happened to him. Okay, what happened to him, who he got sold to, who he got transferred to, how much did they pay for him? We know they had to make a profit from the 20 shekels of silver, so we know it was more than 20 shekels of silver. All right. But what we have to look at also is that we have to what we have to look at also is that Joseph. What we have to look at also is that as an example of wisdom, we look at the history of Joseph, and then we can say, okay, you know, this is definitely un ejemplo de sabiduría, an example of wisdom. All right. So let's go into Proverbs chapter 4, verse 3 through 6. Let me see if I see that book. I don't see it back here. I thought it was in two. Debe estar el olvídalo. All right, so Proverbs chapter 4, verse 3 through 6. We're going to just go over some sabiduría, some wisdom to show you Joseph inside of the wisdom that was see these things that David is writing afterwards, but we have, you know, the different things that Joseph and the other patriarchs went through that we can look at and we can draw wisdom out of it. All right, because Proverbs was written by Solomon after Joseph had already passed on, many generations later. All right. So Proverbs chapter 4, verse 3 through 6, right? How many times we said it before you read it, right? Go ahead.
For I was my father's son.
Now we see that Joseph was what? Porque yo también fui hijo de mi padre. So Joseph was the son of his father. All right. Go ahead.
Tender and only beloved in the sight.
So delicado y único delante of who?
Of my mother.
Of his mother. So Rachel looked at Joseph like, man, that was her baby. That was the one that reminded her of the love that Jacob had for her. That's why she told Jacob, give me my son or I'm going to die. Give me my son or I'm going to die. All right, go ahead.
He taught me also.
So now Joseph learned from his father, Jacob. Okay, José, él aprendió también de su papá, de su padre, Jacob. Go ahead.
And said unto me, let thine heart retain my words, keep my commandments, and live.
So he said, guardar mis mandamientos. Okay. Guarda mis mandamientos. And you will live. Y vivirás. Guard the commandments, and you will live. Now, the commandments he's going into is the commandments of the laws of the people, how to live, and also the spiritual laws of wisdom. Okay, the spiritual laws of wisdom. Go ahead.
Get wisdom.
Adquiere sabiduría. Get wisdom. Go ahead.
Get understanding.
So Joseph had the wisdom, and Joseph had the understanding. Because remember what we read yesterday, who brought Joseph out of the pit? Nope. That's what the text says right here. But who do we read yesterday? Aliyah brought Joseph out of the pit. Let's go to it was wisdom that brought Joseph out of the pit. The scripture said it was wisdom that brought Joseph out of the pit. Okay, give me this one. Okay, let me read it to you. So wisdom brought Joseph out of the pit when he fell into the pit. Okay. Let me read it. Okay, let's read it. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10, verse 13. Read that.
When the righteous was sold,
so Joseph was sold. Go ahead.
She forsook him not.
Wisdom did not forsake Joseph when he was sold. Now you have to read Wisdom of Solomon 10 to get the big picture. Read.
But delivered him from sin.
Go ahead.
She went down with him.
Go ahead.
Into the pit.
Okay. So wisdom went down with him into the pit. So wisdom went with him into the pit. All right. So this is going into Joseph. All right. This is going into Joseph. And then it said, how we know it's talking about Joseph? Because it says that, and left him not in bonds till she brought him the scepter of the kingdom. All right. So she brought Joseph to the top, and power against those that oppressed him. As for them that had accused him, she showed them to be liars and gave him perpetual glory, which is talking about the men that said Joseph, the woman said Joseph tried to rape her. Remember? Okay. She delivered the righteous people and blameless seed from the nation that oppressed them. Now, that's when we came down after Joseph, all the tribes, and we multiplied in Egypt. Okay. All right, so we in Proverbs, right? Go ahead.
Get wisdom, get understanding, forget it not.
Okay, no te olvides la sabiduría, el entendimiento, inteligencia. Okay, go ahead.
Neither decline from the words of my mouth.
So Jacob taught Joseph all of these things. Jacob taught Joseph certain ways to be. Jacob taught Joseph how to operate and walk in wisdom. All right. Now let's go into Proverbs chapter 26, verse 4. Now, this is what Reuben should have been understanding. Proverbs 26:4. Go ahead.
Answer not a fool.
Nunca respondas al necio. Go ahead.
According to his folly.
De acuerdo con su necedad. Do not answer a fool according to his folly. Why? Go ahead.
Lest thou also be like unto him.
Para que no seas tú también como él. But Reuben, he answered a fool according to their folly, right? They said, oh, we want to sell Joseph. We want to kill Joseph and put him in the pit. Reuben said, let's just put him in the pit. He didn't give an answer of wisdom. So we can see what Reuben did wrong, what we should do right, right? Reuben shouldn't have came and said, well, let's do something less evil. Reuben should have said, let's do something altogether righteous for our brother. Let's do something altogether righteous, no evil at all. But Reuben answered these foolish brothers as a fool himself. That's our forefather. That's our ancestor, right? That's our great uncle. We love him. But all these brothers right now are some bad brothers. All right, because they all are conspiring against Joseph. Okay, so Joseph and Reuben, all right, Reuben and Judah are the ones that were kind of like guardians against them. And where is he at today? Where's Ephraim and Manasseh living at today? In Florida, where Reuben's land was, and in America, where Judah is. Specifically, up in New York City, that's their main hub in Spanish Harlem. Ephraim has that territory up there. And then down in Florida, what? That's Manasseh's territory. That's Cuba's territory. You see? So all these things tie in together when we look at the Bible and what's happening now. All right, let's go into Psalms chapter 69, verse 8. Psalm 69 and 8. I am become a stranger unto my brethren. So Joseph became a stranger to his brothers. All right. Joseph, his brothers changed him from being a brother to treating him like a stranger. All right, that's what happened with Joseph. His brothers started looking at him like a stranger. Extraño he sido para mis hermanos. Read.
And an alien unto my mother's children.
Y desconocido para los hijos de mi madre. So Joseph changed from being a brother to his brothers. José cambió de ser como un hermano a sus hermanos y se cambió a ser como un extranjero. He changed to being a stranger, a foreigner to his brothers, en su espíritu. Y por eso ellos vinieron a él. And because of this, they sold him. But disculpa, no vendieron por su mano, pero vendieron a él por sus acciones. They didn't sell him with their hand, they sold him with their actions. ¿Entienden? Por sus acciones. Okay. All right, so the scripture tells us what? The scripture tells us that Joseph, it says, I am become a stranger unto my brethren and an alien unto my mother's children. Okay. Y igual también pasó este capítulo, cuando tú lees este capítulo, es sobre Yahawashi Hamashiach. Este capítulo, el como 69 de Salmos. This chapter is about Yahawashi when you read the chapter. Pero no vamos a leer como el capítulo entero. Okay, pero we're not going to read the whole chapter, but we're going to give another example. Okay. Yo diré como otro ejemplo de cómo este también pasó a Hamashiach. Vamos a Juan 1:11. Go to John chapter 1, verse 11. So we're going to show how also this same mentality mindset passed over the people, and they did the same thing to Yahawashi Hamashiach. All right. So John chapter 1, verse 1. John chapter 1, verse 11. He came to his own, and his own received him not. Dice que y a los suyos vino, y los suyos no le recibieron. So what does it say?
He came unto his own.
Because Jacob, did not he send Joseph to his brothers? So even though we know this is talking about el Mesías, Hamashiach, we know it's talking about Yahawashi, pero también aplica sí o no a José, a Yahushua. Él también vino a sus hermanos, a su propia sangre y carne de como el mismo padre. But what happened when he came to his own people? ¿Qué pasó cuando él llegó a su propia gente, a sus propios hermanos? ¿Qué pasó? Go ahead.
And his own received him not.
Y sus propios no lo recibieron. And his own people, his own brothers did not receive him. So también podemos ver que Yahawashi, que Joseph, we can also see that Joseph is an example of, es una sombra de Yahawashi. Is an example of Yahawashi too. Right? Because he came to his own people. He was sent by his father on a long journey to go check on the people. And when they came to him, what happened? They abused him. We read about that yesterday, didn't we? We read about that in Matthew chapter 26, verse 37 through 39 about how he came to his own people. He came to his own people, but his own people didn't receive him. Pero todavía que se queden allá, que se queden como parada. But he came to his own people, and his own people did not receive him. So the same thing we see happening to Joseph, the same thing we see happening to Yahweh. Él llegó a su propia gente, y sus hermanos, no lo recibieron. Y la misma cosa podemos ver que pasó a Hamashaya, que pasó a José antes de él, a Yahweh, cuál es su nombre hebreo. Ok. Y vamos a Salmos 105, Psalms 105. Psalms 105, and let's read verse 17. Psalms 105, verse 17. Go ahead.
He sent a man before them, even Joseph.
He sent a man before them, right? Even Joseph. Okay. El Altísimo, él envió un varón delante de ellos. Yahweh shall send a man before his people. Even Joseph. So Joseph, it said he what? He what? What did it say?
He sent a man.
He what?
He sent a man.
It was an accident.
He sent a man.
It was an accident.
He sent a man.
He was an accident. It says it was an accident.
He sent.
It didn't happen on purpose.
He sent.
So it was Yahweh that did what?
He sent.
So all this evil and bad that's happened to Joseph is coming from Yahweh. So como las maldiciones y lo mal que nos pasa en la vida, a veces es como, son cosas como mandadas por Yahweh el Altísimo. A veces Él manda lo mal frente de nosotros para preparar la obra que tenemos que hacer. Sometimes He sends the evil or the bad before us to prepare us for the evil that we're going to have to face when we're doing His work and to conquer it. So Yahweh sent a man. Go ahead. What did it say? He sent a man. Read from the top.
He sent a man.
He sent a man. Go ahead.
Before them.
Delante de ellos. Before them. Go ahead.
Even Joseph.
Even Joseph. A José. He sent Joseph before the children of Israel. Read.
Who was sold for a servant.
Who was what?
Who was sold for a servant.
Who was sold for a servant. Que fue vendido por siervo. Y todo lo que está pasando es la voluntad de Yahweh. Everything that's happening is the will of Yahweh. Es la voluntad de Yahweh que él sea como un siervo. It's the will of Yahweh that he be a servant. Es la voluntad de Yahweh que él sea como vendido, for him to be sold como un siervo, as a servant, como un esclavo debe de ser. It's Yahweh's will. All right, read 18.
Whose feet they hurt with fetters.
Pusieron en su mano, en sus pies como hierra. All right, hierra. Abrieron a sus pies con grillos metales en sus pies. Y también en su cuerpo, like you do a slave. You put him in chains. That's what happened to Joseph. All right, go ahead.
He was laid in iron.
He was put in iron. He was laid in iron. So he was brought to a very low and hard life when he was in slavery under the Africans. And I think that a lot of our people, they forget how bad the so-called white man, the Africans and the Arabs, they forget how bad they did us. And we start to fight each other. And we start to ask each other, well, you wasn't in a bad captivity. Nothing bad happening to you. It happened worse to me. Olvidamos de lo que pasó con los árabes, los europeos y los africanos de sangre de la nación de Ham, the Hamites from the Africans from the nation of the family of Ham. Olvidamos que pasó. que ocurrió a nuestra gente. Y empezamos a decir, oh, tú no pasa nada con su gente. No pasaron nada a ustedes. Nosotros pasamos bien hondo la esclavitud, bajo de nuestros enemigos. Es como una competición. It's not like a competition. Everybody's fighting for the top position of the most oppressed people. Pero somos la misma gente, somos la misma nación, y Él va a unir nuestra gente en cautividad. Nosotros vamos a salir de esclavitud juntos. He's going to raise us together in captivity, and we're going to leave Babilonia juntos. We're going to leave Babylon together. En eso ponemos atención. In that thing, we got to put attention. Okay, read. Actually, let me go from, you read 18. So let me go down to verse 22 now. Go ahead. Now, Joseph, he was down there in captivity. He was sold. And then after he was sold, después que él fue vendido, se subieron a él sobre toda la nación de Egipto. They rose him up over all the nation of Egypt. Go ahead.
To bind his princes at his pleasure.
To bind the princes, los líderes de los egiptos. Okay. Para que como reprimiera. Okay, go ahead.
And teach his senators wisdom.
Teach them what?
Wisdom.
See that? Sabiduría. Para enseñar a los ancianos de los egiptos que sabiduría. Now, how did Joseph learn wisdom in Egypt if he's a slave that came there not knowing nothing? How is he teaching the people that put him in captivity? Porque él aprendió, como yo dije del principio, porque él aprendió de su papá, que aprendió de su papá y aprendió de su papá, hasta como Noé, hasta como Sem, hasta como Eber. Aprendimos de nuestros antepasados, y Jacobo, él pasó la sabiduría de los antepasados a José. So Joseph, he learned wisdom from his father, that learned from his father, that learned all the way back to Shem, back to Eber, back to Noah. And it passed all the way down from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob, and then it passed to Joseph. Why? Because Joseph was the one that had to save the children of Israel from the nation dying. Okay? Y él tenía que enseñar a sus ancianos sabiduría. So he had to teach their ancient people, their elders, Joseph had to teach them wisdom. But only solamente después que él se bajó, he got lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. ¿Verdad? Y después, al fin de todo, él subió sobre todo. He went lower and lower and lower. And at the end of everything, what happened? He came up to the top. Pero mientras Yahweh está bajándonos, y nosotros mismos estamos bajándonos, evitando placeres, evitando como el cuidado de este mundo, evitando como el placer de la cosa que podemos hacer, pero decidimos que no queremos hacer esas cosas porque estamos poniendo atención. Okay, atención en la palabra de Yahweh para servir a Él, para que cuando la gente necesita un líder, pueden contar como contigo. They can count on you. Cuando no vale el dólar, cuando no vale nada, el dinero, el peso no tiene valor, vamos a ocupar, vamos a como necesitar que fe, sabiduría, cuando no hay trabajos, cuando no hay petróleo, no hay gasolina, ¿verdad? No hay comida en los mercados, en las tiendas. ¿Qué tipo de fe, qué clase de fe vamos a tener para sobrevivir? When there's no gas, when there's no job, when there's no food in the supermarkets, what kind of faith are we going to have then? So Yahweh is preparing us for when this whole society collapses and falls down. So now we build up our faith. Now we avoid things. We avoid our pleasures, okay? We avoid things that we don't need. We discipline our spirits. And when we discipline our spirits, our spirit becomes stronger. Our spirit becomes stronger. When it becomes stronger, now Yahweh can put confidence in us to do his word and to do his will and give us the rewards. All right. Now we may get some type of spiritual powers, poderes espirituales después que él dice que yo puedo confiar en él porque él está guardando y caminando en mi palabra, en el ejemplo de sus antepasados y sobre todo en el ejemplo de Yahushua HaMashiach. Done? Okay. So they say he's walking the example of Yahushua, of our forefathers, of our ancestors. He's walking and ¿qué dije? He's walking and ¿qué dije? Está caminando y haciendo. He's walking and doing the word of Yahweh. And then he's going to reward us. But right now, no estamos buscando para como un premio ahora. We're not looking for a reward now. All right? We're not looking for a reward now. All right, last verse. Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha. José como es un como patrón de sabiduría. Podemos mirar su vida y podemos imitarlo y podemos vivir como una vida santa. ¿Verdad? Podemos vivir una vida santa. We can look at Joseph as an example and then we can live a holy life. All right? Porque él es como un sobre de sabiduría. Okay? Y vamos, we're going to finish with Sirach or Sirach, Ben Sirach, capítulo 39, chapter 39, y versículo 4 y 6. So, Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, chapter 39, verse 4 and 6. And that's why I like when we have the short readings, porque podemos poner más Yahushua, podemos poner más sabiduría, ¿verdad? I like when we got these short sections because un poco versículos, a little bit of verses, because then we can put more Yahushua, we can put more wisdom, all right? We can put more ejemplos, more examples, y podemos comer más comida rica. We can get more rich food, from more delicious food from off of the verses. When we have a little bit of verses and como una like an explosion of wisdom. All right. So let's go to the last one, Ecclesiasticus chapter 39, verse 4 and verse 6. Okay, go ahead.
He shall serve among great men.
¿El qué?
He shall serve before among great men.
Él servirá, ¿verdad? Él servirá entre hombres grandes. Y eso pasó a José. So, un hombre que está caminando en sabiduría. Sabiduría nos dice que él servirá como entre hombres grandes. That a man that's walking in wisdom is going to serve among great men. It ain't talking about us because we ain't even great. Go ahead.
And appear before princes.
Él va como a aparecer frente como príncipes. He's going to appear before princes, líderes del pueblo, leaders of the people. Eso pasó con todos nuestros antepasados, ¿verdad? This happened to all of our ancestors, from Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. So this shows you how these men were walking in wisdom. Because Yahweh would send curses on them when they were thinking and doing things that they shouldn't be thinking and doing against us. Yahweh como él mandaba maldiciones, maldad sobre ellos cuando ellos hacían o pensaban cosas contra de nosotros que no debían pensar, que no debían hacer. Y esto también nos muestra que ellos caminaban en sabiduría. Nuestros antepasados caminaban en sabiduría. They were walking in wisdom. Tiene que aprender el sistema métrico también. They gotta learn the metric system too. Y por eso nos muestra que todos los antepasados caminaban en sabiduría. All of our ancestors, our forefathers walked in wisdom. Y por eso estamos como arguing, discutir, arguing, estamos como clamando, discutiendo sobre doctrinas diferentes. ¿Por qué? Porque nos falta la sabiduría. We're arguing about colors because we don't have a masterpiece to paint. Estamos discutiendo sobre colores, sobre nombres, porque no tenemos una obra muy grande para cumplir. We're arguing about doctrine because we don't have a great masterpiece to fulfill. So we're taking a low road. And we're just saying, you know what? I'm going to join this fight too. I'm going to join this who's the Arabs fight. I'm going to join this who's the Ishmaelites fight. I'm going to join this Canaanite fight. I'm going to join this Southern Kingdom fight. I'm going to join this Northern Kingdom fight. I'm going to join which moon is the crescent. I'm going to join the holy days, the Sabbath, the afternoon Sabbath. No. All these doctrines. Pero olvidamos de sabiduría. We forget about wisdom. What about wisdom? Because when you read about wisdom, which most of us haven't, it's wisdom that guides you to the understanding. Not, oh, man, let me get to Google, and here's the Strong's number, and this is what the Septuagint says, and here's what Rashi said, and then Maimonides said this, and Avika, he came and said this. All right? And then Bedouin said this, and then James Adair, he said this, and Jerry Rogers, he said this. And Garvey said this. And the writings of the Tecumseh, they was this. And then Popol Vuh. Oh, the Popol Vuh says this. Pero ninguna de esas palabras son la sabiduría de Yahweh. None of those words are the wisdom of Yahweh. Nos falta la sabiduría de Yahweh. We are missing the wisdom of Yahweh. And you don't want to seek the wisdom of Yahweh because there's a price you have to pay. There's sacrifices that you have to make. Y no quiere perseguir. No quiere buscar la sabiduría porque hay un premio, hay un precio que tenga que pagar, que se tiene que pagar. Hay un sacrificio, hay sacrificios que se tienen que hacer en su tiempo, en su familia, entre su trabajo, your family, your job, all right? Your time. You got to make sacrifice to get this sabiduría, to get the wisdom that Joseph had. Un poquito. A little bit of the wisdom that Joseph had would take us a lifetime to gain. Just a little bit. Nos como costaría una vida entera, una vida entera para ganar nomás como un pedacito de la sabiduría que tenía José. Only a little bit, man. Okay, go ahead. So we got verse, did we finish reading verse 4? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
He would travel through strange countries.
So Joseph went from with his father up there way up north, then came to Sukkot, and then came to Bethel, then he went to Dothan, and then he went over to this place, and then he went down to Egypt. So he's all over the place. And our father Joseph, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, they were just traveling all around. So they traveled through strange places. Go ahead.
For he hath tried the good and the evil among them, among men.
So Joseph, his fathers, they tried the good and evil. Ellos como trataron lo bien y lo mal entre los hombres. From Laban, Ishmael, his brothers, the Egyptians, right? The Midianites, the Ishmaelites. He's learning wisdom from all these negative experiences, all these bad things that are happening. He's learning all these stories he's hearing. He's learning about wisdom, so he can try the good and the evil amongst men. He being sold by people that's supposed to be the descendants of his father's uncle. This is father. Remember, the Ishmaelites. It's Ishmael was only the brother of Isaac. So Ishmael's children were the people that became the Ishmaelites. So their nephew, Ishmael's nephew, was who? Was Jacob. So you're not talking about 2,500 years later. You're talking about Ishmael, Jacob, Joseph. 2 generations, man. From their patronym, from the man they got their name from. And they're selling their people 2 generations after their forefather into slavery. You understand what I'm saying? That's like your cousin selling you in slavery. That's exactly what it's like. Let's say you got Big Zayatan, and then Zayatan got a brother. And then you got me. And then you got you and you. And then you got Big Zayatan got a brother. We call him Shawan. And Shawan got grandkids. And them grandkids come and try to sell you in slavery. You're like, hold up, man, we cousins. You see that? So this is how tight this thing is. I think a lot of people forget the fact that Israel wasn't a nation yet. We were still just an ethnic group of people that were under Shemites. We weren't Israelites yet. Isaac didn't branch out to become a big family like Ishmael did. Ishmael branched out and became, remember, many princes he had. And then Edom branched out and had many princes and dukes and captains, right? Israel ain't got that yet. We still just shepherding, you know, in the pasture with our flocks and sheep, man. But they knew who we were. Remember, they know who we are. They know who we are. They know who we are. These Ishmaelites, you better believe they knew who Jacob was. You better believe they knew what our prophecy was and what we were destined to do. And like we already read, the Most High is the one that sold Joseph into slavery, because Joseph's purpose was bigger than his own comfort. That's like Sunday morning preacher saying, right? Joseph's purpose was bigger than his own comfort. So Joseph had to be oppressed. Joseph had to be accused of trying to rape a woman. Joseph had to go to jail for more than 17 years. Joseph had to be sold to the head execution. Joseph had to be betrayed by his brothers, man, because the work that he needed to do could not have gotten done if he did not go through hell. He could not have risen to the state of almost a God on the earth, a heavenly level. He had to go through the hell first to the heaven to get to that heavenly level. And that's the same thing we see happening to us. We got to go through the negative side of life. We got to go through that captivity first. And then we got to come up from captivity and be second in charge of the whole empire under King David, who's going to be under Yahushua, who's going to be the king of the world. And David going to be the king of Israel. You see? So all of these things that Joseph is going through, man, these are all prophecy. This is prophetic to what you're going to go through, what all the children of Jacob are going to go through. All right, now let's get verse 6.
When the great Lord will.
And when Yahweh quiere. Y cuando el Yahweh, el Altísimo, cuando él quiere, what happens?
He shall be filled with spirit of understanding.
He shall be filled with the spirit of understanding. So now that man that's seeking wisdom, he gets filled with the spirit of understanding once he stays, dedicated to Yahweh. Cuando él se queda como dedicado a Yahweh, no se importa qué están haciendo tu prójimo ni tu propia madre. Hasta tu propia madre no puede como pararte de caminando hasta Yahweh, hacia Yahweh. Even your own mother can't stop you from walking until Yahweh, or walking toward Yahweh. Y después, Yahweh dice que Yahweh llenará tu espíritu con el espíritu de entendimiento. Yahweh will fill you with the spirit of understanding once you stay on that road like Joseph is. Oh, Joseph, come lay with me, Joseph. My husband will never know. The drunk Israelite man, Joseph, come and lay with me. Hey, do not tell me no. If you tell me no, I will tell my husband. And he will put you in jail, believe me. I'm not joking with you. Joseph, come here right now. Come and lay with me. Joseph could have said, you know what? Yeah, let's go ahead and, ya tú sabes. But Joseph's like, nah, you my master's wife. I won't do that because you my master's wife. So he remained righteous. In the jail, man, I ain't got nothing to say to none of y'all niggas, man. I'm locked up like y'all. He was like, nah, what's your dream, bro? I'll help you. What's your dream? Locked up, accused of rape, and he helping everybody else. And he rose even in jail. No matter what situation you put Joseph in, he rose. What was that? No matter what situation you put Joseph in, he rose up, man, and through righteousness. He didn't say, man, I'm a slave. I'm in this jail, man. He made the best out of the situation, man. Él hizo lo mejor de una situación muy, muy mala. Encarcelado. Es el enemigo de todos los hebreos israelitas. Being incarcerated is the enemy of all Hebrew Israelites. No queremos estar encarcelados. We do not want to be incarcerated. Pero José, él subió. Joseph, he rose and rose and rose. Del cárcel, from the jail, he was rising up. Aunque él fue como oprimido, even though he was oppressed, él no se quedó como bajado. He didn't stay low. Eso nos dice que aunque estamos oprimidos por todos los países, todavía podemos subir cuando estamos poniendo fe y confianza en Yahweh, y la palabra y la fe cumple con nuestra como acciones. When our faith and our confidence in Yahweh, even though we oppressed, and that agrees with our walk, with our actions, podemos subir, igual como José. Now we can rise up the same as Joseph. Las 12 tribus de Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel, los negros y latinos y indígenas en Norte, Central y Sudamérica, the blacks, the Hispanics, Latino, and indigenous people in North, Central, and South America. Cuando estamos trabajando, porque ya estamos al fin del correo. We at the end of the race now, man. We at the end of the race now. Everything is almost over. We almost finished. We almost finished. Y por eso Satanás está enojado de nosotros. Now Satan is mad at us. Él está tratando. Toda la nación ahora están como volando como una mosca. The whole nation right now is just flying around like a fly. Just not like como una flecha fuerte, ¿verdad? Not like a strong arrow, like that's how we're supposed to be. But we're like just arguing and fighting in all sorts of directions. No faith in the Most High to solve whatever it is through what? Obedience and wisdom. Right? All right, we're going to get off of this. Read verse 6 again.
When Yahweh will, he shall be filled with the spirit of understanding.
Y cuando quiere Yahweh, él will be filled. Él como será llenado con el espíritu de entendimiento. Okay, go ahead.
He shall pour out wise sentences.
He shall pour out wise sentences. Él va a decir como palabra de su boca, como agua pura, como agua como refrescante. De sabiduría, frases llenas de sabiduría. So Joseph is gonna, whoever walks in wisdom, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. Este es lo que estoy tratando de decir. Este no aplica solamente a José. This does not apply only to Joseph. Se aplica a cualquier persona que quiere perseguir la sabiduría. It applies to whatever person wants to chase wisdom. Como están persiguiendo riqueza, like you chasing riches. Okay, go ahead.
And give thanks unto Yahweh in his prayer.
And give thanks to Yahweh in his prayer. Siempre que tienen que dar gracias a Yahweh en las oraciones. Y podemos estar como José, podemos ser como José. We can be like Joseph. Evitando un poco de las malas cosas que pasó a él. Avoiding some of the bad things that happened to him. Pero podemos caminar en el camino con sabiduría. We can walk in the faith. We can walk in the path of wisdom. Pero tenemos que estar listos para pagar el precio. We got to be ready to pay the price. And the price is your flesh. El precio es como la carne, su carne. Carnal. That's the price you got to pay. Caminando casi todo el día en el espíritu. Walking almost the whole day in the spirit. Okay? So that's all we got for today. You know, I'd like to thank my producer, the engineer in the studio that was with me throughout the whole record. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be up here getting this award today. Wasn't for y'all. Like to thank God. So yeah, so that's it for the wisdom for the day, for the Torah, this Torah section. Now remember, when we come on for the Shabbat, make sure you tune in, because on the Shabbat is when we're gonna just go run through it. All right, so you're gonna get the summary of everything. But during the week, make sure you're catching all these lessons about the Torah. You know what I mean, during the week. And now when we finish Genesis and we get to the end of Genesis, then we're gonna talk about the tribes. Genesis 49. We did Deuteronomy 33 like months ago. But then we're going to do Genesis 49. All right. So now, Passover is going to be April 18th to April 19th is the first day of Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread. All right. The last day of Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread, is March 24th to March 25th. All 7 days in between there are days that we have to have a nice feast and celebrate when the Most High Yahweh brought us up out of Egypt. Okay? El Pascua o Pesach es el 17, okay? No, el 18 de abril. 18 hasta la noche, 18 hasta, April 18 de abril hasta como 19 en la noche termina. Y el séptimo día de Pesach es el 24 de abril hasta el 25 de abril, hasta como mete el sol. Y entre esos 7 días tenemos que como cocinar y celebrar, festejar. Even if it's on a Sabbath day. Okay. Y si se cae en un día de reposo, el Shabbat, todavía podemos celebrar y podemos usar la estufa, podemos encender como fuego en este día santo, porque es un mandato, es un mandamiento para celebrar para 7 días y festejar, tener como fiesta y cocinar para 7 días. Y la próxima luna nueva es en el sexto de diciembre, hasta como el 7 de diciembre es la próxima luna nueva, es un día santo. Se puede cocinar en este día, pero no se puede hacer ningún tipo de obra, ni perseguir o cumplir sus propios placeres de la carne. Los casados deben entenderme. So the new moon is going to be the December 6th to December 7th, when the sun goes down, the 6th to the 7th. Now on a new moon you can cook, but you can't chase your own pleasures, and you can't do no type of work on that day. You can't do your own pleasures. The married people should understand me. All right. So eso es todo. That's all for today. Y gracias para asistir con nosotros. Thank you for joining us. Yahweh le bendiga en el nombre de Yahweh Shai. Shema Yasharallah, Yahweh Alahaina, Yahweh Akkad. Oiga Israel, Yahweh nuestro poder, Yahweh es uno. And you shall love Yahweh, your power, with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. Y abraza a Yahweh tu poder con todo tu espíritu, todo tu corazón, toda tu alma y toda tu fuerza. Okay, Shalom Lekam, en el nombre de Yahweh, Hallelujah, Shalom.